Hudson County View live at Uncut, and I'm your host, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, John R. Heinis, and we're going to talk the latest and greatest in Hudson County news, obviously. This past week was quite exciting, as it often is. So, first of all, let's talk about what's going on in North Bergen. Obviously, there's a big scandal happening within that police department. This has gone national, as I mentioned in my newsletter on Monday. This is something that we've seen on TMZ, People Magazine, Fox News, and many, many, many more. The New York Post. But the point is, this is about North Bergen Police Chief Robert Farley and 5 of his officers making allegations about a lot of frat house-like behavior and beyond. We're seeing allegations that, well, most of us have probably never seen or heard of before. So we'll talk about what's happening over there. Also going to chat a little bit about what's going on in Hoboken. There's this redevelopment plan for the Hoboken University Medical Center. And this initial first step would only send it over to the planning board for consideration. So there's a lot more that needs to be done. But this is a pretty ambitious plan from what we can tell at a preliminary stage. So we're going to talk about that as well. We're also going to chat about this lawsuit out of Bayonne. It's actually a $1.8 million federal claim by a former employee who alleges that he was wrongfully arrested, facing malicious prosecution, and identified a pattern of racketeering activity at City Hall. That's according to the federal complaint that was filed last week. And also, when I sit down with my guest today, it'll be Dini Ajmani, who is a Hoboken mayoral candidate. So all that and a whole lot more right after this word from our sponsors.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk about what's going on in this North Bergen Police Department. A whole heck of a lot to unpack, but well, let's take it from the top. On Thursday, one day after these notice of claims by these 5 officers came to light via NJ Advanced Media, nicely done by them, we saw a press conference held in Fairfield. It was the law office of Patrick Toscano, who's representing these 5 officers, and he said this was about absolutely disgusting, quote, acts performed by the chief ever since he took over in February 2024. And yeah, this is not pretty. I mean, we're talking allegations along the lines of a hypodermic needle being jabbed into someone's genitals, defecating on the floor, and a lot of other frat-like roughhouse kind of pranks. So if you look at what Toscano said in this video, this press conference that lasted about 17 minutes or so, he says, first of all, that there's pictures and videos that haven't come to light yet. So certainly that's something that everyone's going to be wondering when that's going to come out. But beyond that, he says, Farley also sent a number of interesting gifts, if you will, to some officers' houses. That includes masturbation cream, sexual ties, the LGBTQ flag, and he names a few other items as well. So obviously this is quite strange, but this is what is alleged. And Toscano is a former first assistant Essex County prosecutor, and he now specializes in law enforcement defense, and he's representing Lieutenant Alex Guzman, retired Officer Michael F. Darren, Detective Michael A. Darren, which is of course the son, Officer Rashid Saeed, and Officer Christopher Bowen. So, we also, said there was a number of other practical jokes, and according to Toscano, these actions not only fail to meet the standards of professional conduct, but also appear intended to humiliate me and other victims. Sorry, that was Guzman in the tort claim, not Toscano. So, lots of bold allegations here. Obviously, again, not like much that we've ever really seen before, but we do know that the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office was taking a look at it, and they forwarded this to the New Jersey Attorney General's office, and that was confirmed by the township. They said in a statement that this is actually a couple of officers that have an axe to grind. So when talking about Farley's track record as chief, they said He's significantly reduced the amount of extra compensation made by several officers, including Lieutenant Guzman, who made over $150,000 in overtime and extra duty work in 2023, and Special Law Enforcement Officer Darren, whose additional compensation has been cut in half due to Chief Farley's reforms. It's highly suspicious that these allegations have only come to light after Chief Farley instituted these reforms, which were designed to protect North Bergen taxpayers and ensure that all officers have access to extra duty assignments. And of course, Descato called that complete and utter rubbish, not surprising. And he even said, though, that his clients would be willing to take a polygraph test if needed. So obviously, this story's cooled off a little bit this week, but when we hear something more, obviously, we're going to be right on top of it. So now get into the Mile Square City. Let's talk about this hospital plan. Now, of course, the Hoboken University Medical Center is part of CarePoint Health. They filed for bankruptcy a few months ago, as I first reported, and now Hudson Regional Hospital has the certificate of need from the New Jersey Department of Health to operate the Bayonne Medical Center, and they are seeking the same in Hoboken and Jersey City, Christ Hospital and Hoboken University Medical Center in particular. And this would all combine those four hospitals to make one system called Hudson Health System. And this was the second time they took a stab at it, and it looks like they're well on their way. But now we have this wrinkle where there's three different addresses, including one that's the hospital itself, the other two being 122 Clinton Street, which is a CarePoint Neighborhood Health Center, and 328 Clinton Street, which is the Midtown Garage. And the resolution before the council this evening would actually have them decide whether or not they want this to be a redevelopment zone that has consideration on the planning board. So in other words, if they approve it, it will go to the planning board. The planning board will then determine if this is an area in need of redevelopment, in which case they will send it back to the council, who will then decide whether or not this is something that is feasible after they do a public engagement process. So with that said, we heard from a majority of the council members. We heard from 5, and First Ward Councilman Paul Presenzano, Second Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher seemed like pretty clear no's. And then we heard from Third Ward Councilman Mike Russo, who was an affirmative yes. He's the resolution sponsor, so that shouldn't shock anybody. And then Councilwoman at Large Emily Jabor, also a pretty firm yes. Fourth Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos was had a positive outlook, I'll say, but he didn't really lead yes or no in his comments. I'm not going to read them all because we'd be here all day. But, you know, also of note, of course, 4 of those 5 are running for mayor. That's Fisher, Russo, Ramos, and Jabor. So I am told, I don't have direct confirmation yet, but I am told that this is probably not going to actually end up making the agenda. So let's see what happens tonight. But that meeting's 7 p.m., of course, at City Hall, 94 Washington Street, and that'll also stream live on their YouTube page. So also want to talk about this federal lawsuit over in Bayonne. So there was a guy by the name of Rich Rizkowski, and he was a fire prevention employee in the Bayonne City Hall, and he filed a 5-count lawsuit in U.S. District Court of New Jersey. That's federal court, of course, and he's named former Business Administrator Donna Russo, Fire Chief Keith Weather, and Police Captain William Dundas, in addition to the actual city of Bayonne. So long story short, he said he was wrongfully arrested and prosecuted for about 5 months between October 2022 and March 2023, which was predated by growing tensions caused by him questioning the rules around fire inspections. In short, he said there seemed to be preferential treatment. You know, the people that had a good relationship with the administration weren't treated with the same way that everyday people were. And, you know, most shockingly, he made this allegation that he identified a pattern of racketeering. And basically, what this says here is each of the individual defendants, Russo, Weaver, Dundas, participated either directly or indirectly in the conduct or the affairs of an enterprise constituting a pattern of racketeering activity. So he's saying a lot of things here. Falsification of records, false imprisonment, criminal trespass, insurance fraud, illegal land sales, extortion, a pattern of abuse and criminal coercion, and he's looking for $1.8 million. So with that, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'll be sitting down with Hoboken mayoral candidate Dini Ajmani.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net, at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Heinis, and as I mentioned a few moments ago, today my guest is Hoboken mayoral candidate Dini Ajmani. Dini, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Very welcome. So obviously this is an interesting race already. It's not till November 4th, but we already have a pretty full field, 5 candidates and maybe a couple more, who knows. For the moment, you're the only one not on the city council running, so what made you decide to jump into this crazy mix?
Well, it wasn't an easy decision, and not everyone in my family supported it. But I think the skill set I have right now, and the skills that I have gathered over my life, is what the city needs. If the status quo continues, I think our taxes are going to go through the roof, and the quality of life we have in Hoboken is going to fall. I know you watch the Wednesday town council meetings. I do as well. And many a times I end the meeting with this question in my heart, which is this any way to run the city? What you see in these city council meetings and through the leadership elsewhere in the city is a whole lot of spending that is happening. Either it's the tax breaks, or it's the labor contracts, or it's their pet project. But nobody is saying what implications those spendings have on our budget long term. When I say long term, I'm not talking 30 years. I'm talking next year, year after, and year after that. So the question in my heart was, do I sit on the sidelines and complain, or do I use my skills to jump into the ring? And
Fair
I
enough.
decided to choose the latter.
Yes, clearly. So with that, perfect jumping off point for me, because obviously the two issues that you've been pretty vocal on thus far is that there was an 8-year PBA contract, which a lot of people from the public did seem to like, but it obviously had the votes. And then basically after that, you also had an op-ed or letter to the editor, I'm not sure which, but same difference to most people, about
Yeah.
Garage B, and they were both about the economic feasibility of the plans.
Exactly.
And so, obviously this is not something that everyone wants to hear, but you were still pretty clear in your position. So why do you think those were two things you wanted to come out against?
Well, since I announced, those were the two glaring issues where I felt the council did not ask the right questions and therefore did not vote the right way. So first one, taking example of the police contract, it's not at all that I'm against public safety, which some may portray me as. It's just that if you want to preserve public safety in Hoboken, then you have to make sure that the spending on public safety is sustainable. So right now, in our budget, $144 million, $66 million is spent on public safety. This is police and fire. A lot of it is salaries, overtime, retirement, healthcare, retiree benefits. We have a lot of retirees in our police force. And now you come along with a contract which is going to increase salaries significantly, which means that all of those costs are going to go up. We know fire is going to come and say, we want a similar contract. The question I was hoping council would ask is, what are the budget implications for the next 8 years because of this contract? And nobody asked that question. I spent half hour just going through public data to come up with a spreadsheet to see how much our taxes will go up, and they'll go up around 56% if police and fire contracts match.
Cumulatively, right?
Cumulatively.
Okay.
So over 8 years, can you imagine our taxes going up 56%? A young couple who had just bought a condo thinking they can afford monthly payments, and some expectation about the property taxes will be they may need to move out of Hoboken because now they cannot afford the property tax.
Right, and then on Garage B, one of your opponents, Councilwoman Fisher, has been vocal that this is never going to happen. It's not economically feasible. And you said something, I guess, at least a little bit similar.
Yeah.
So, why do you feel that way?
No, listen, it's a business. whoever is going to respond to the RFP is a business. And they're going to say, you're making our costs go up because you're asking us to use union labor force. And then you capping our revenue by saying it can only be affordable and workforce housing, right? So numbers are not going to work. They're going to come to the table and they're going to say, we need tax breaks to make the numbers work. Well, a tax break for them is a tax increase for the rest of us. So what I was trying to say in the council meetings in my op-ed piece is know that when you give tax breaks to one entity, you're you're raising taxes for the rest of us. And I'm not sure if residents should be taking on that burden. So from that standpoint, I was objecting to the Garage B project.
All right, and then back to the PBA and public safety. We've heard from a lot of people, both running and not running, that public safety is paramount, and no cost is too large, etc. You know what I'm talking about. But why do you think that's just not the right approach here?
It's not the right approach because it's not sustainable. It's not even good for our own public safety force. You look at what's happening in New York City. New York City right now is in the middle of reducing their police force because the mayor is saying we spend way too much money on the immigrant crisis and now we don't have money, so we need to reduce our police force. We don't want to get there. Hoboken has been there. You're too young to maybe remember this, but in 2009, state came over and took over Hoboken's
I don't remember,
operation.
but I am familiar.
Yes. And part of that restructuring was a layoff plan for the police.
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
Right? So we don't want to get to it. We might as well make good decisions today so we have a sustainable police force and fire instead of promising things we cannot deliver. Or if we have to deliver those things, then we raise taxes to a point where regular folks just cannot live in Hoboken. It becomes a city where super rich live or those who qualify for affordable housing. And everybody in the middle with 2 regular jobs and kids in public schools just has to move out.
Got it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Dini, don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just 1 pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. Chatter Heinis, and I'm still here with Hoboken mayoral candidate Dini Ajmani. So, let's look at tonight's agenda. Again, I'm unclear if it will actually make it or not. As of last night, it was still there. I don't know what's happened today. I've reached out, I haven't heard back. But this hospital redevelopment plan, obviously, as I detailed a few minutes ago on the other side of the studio, the council seems split. It looks like we could be heading to a 5-3 or a 4-4 vote if we get that far. But, when you're thinking about CarePoint and the bankruptcy and redeveloping these adjacent properties, obviously they haven't put a whole lot of specifics into the public domain yet, but what we do have, any thoughts yet?
But what we know is the way that hospital has functioned so far just hasn't worked, right? So it's one bankruptcy after another bankruptcy, one ownership after another ownership. And the reason is that the services the residents need, the hospital doesn't provide. So what it has become is almost like a homeless shelter. So 25% of the people who come to that hospital are in no shape or form to pay for the services. They don't have Medicaid, they don't have Medicare, they don't have health insurance. And no entity can survive like that. Something has to change. What I worry about a little bit is if this is becoming a Trojan horse through which maybe somebody with the intention to build something else in that location is using this opportunity to build maybe a small medical center, but most of it is going to be something else. So I haven't seen the plans. I would like to see the plans before I give any opinion on yes or no vote. But we need a hospital. But we need the hospital that actually serves the residents. We have two neighbors who are young couples. Both of them had their babies recently. Neither of them went to the maternity ward of this hospital. They all drove 45 minutes away because they don't think this hospital serves them. What we need is, like I said, the services that our residents can use.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the history of CarePoint and all that, but we'll be here for days, so we won't, at least not today. So with that said, so actually let's go back. So it's 2021. I believe it was the summer. I think it was actually August. You're announced to be running with Emily Jabor and Joe Quindaro on Mayor Ravi Bala's ticket, and then I think it was less than 72 hours later, you got this offer from the U.S. Treasury Department, right?
Exactly.
So just could you walk me through what happened and just tell us, how this all came together or not so quickly?
No, absolutely. So yeah, so I have always wanted to serve at the local level, which is why my intention was to get on that ticket. If I remember right, Mayor Bhala was running unopposed.
Yes.
And I really wanted to be part of the council. It just so happened that the White House was at the same time reviewing and vetting me. I didn't know about this, and it was in August that I got the call saying that President wants to appoint me to run the capital markets at U.S. Treasury. I spoke with Mayor Bhala. He was very generous, and Jim Doyle I have to thank for stepping in. So there was no vacant seat on the ticket, and that's what made it possible for me to serve the nation in D.C. So for last 4 years, till 20th of January, I was waking up at 4 in the morning, taking a train Amtrak from Metro Park, going to D.C., coming back Thursday nights, and that was my life, and it was an opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm very glad that Mayor Bhala and Jim Dole made it possible for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't think too many people would have turned down an opportunity of that magnitude. So having said that, I've asked every mayoral candidate that's come through, as you probably have noticed. I don't know how much you're following the 32nd Legislative District Assembly race, but we have 6 candidates, including the mayor. Any preferences in that field right now?
Actually, I'm not following that race a lot, mostly because outside of Jenny Poo and Katie Brennan and Mayor Bhala, I really don't know the other candidates as much. So I think it's going to be a very last-minute decision on my part as to which way my pen goes.
All right, simple enough. And any closing thoughts that you have for us and for the Hoboken voters?
No, I know I'm an outsider, but I also know that this race needs an outsider. There's a lot of political intrigue that happens in the council. It's like an inside game, little insular. But what the city needs is somebody to pick up their head, look up, and see where we're going in broader terms. Are we on a track where we can continue to be the city which we are, which is available to all? Or are we going to be a very segregated cities where rich people live on one side and those with affordable qualification live on the other side? I love this city. I care for it. This is not an easy endeavor I've taken on. I have probably the least amount of name recognition among the other candidates. This is my full-time endeavor at this time. And I hope that Hobokenites will give me a chance, get to know me. You will be seeing me on streets and fairs and digital and in your mailboxes and such. And I hope you go to my website and check out my policies and the issues that are important to what I think you and me.
Dini, thank you so much. Best of luck. We'll obviously be chatting. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its two newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View live and uncut. Chad Heinis. So quite a few other things to parse through. I'm going to do the best I can to get through them all. So first of all, let's talk about what's going on over at 50-52 Martin Luther King Drive in Jersey City. I did a little bit of a deep dive on this one. I looked at a lot of documents from the city, and I also spoke with a tenant. Her name's Maureen Rios. And long story short, this is a classic, unfortunately, slumlord type of situation. And this is a situation where she hasn't had a stove in over 3 months. The fire escape's damaged. There's multiple plumbing issues. She says this is consistent throughout the building. And, let me just tell you a little bit about our conversation when she invited me in. She said we were having issues that the landlord does not fix at all, does not do maintenance in the apartments, and the harassment, the intimidation. Every time you turn around to call them, the property manager and the landlord, they refuse to fix anything in the apartment. We know they sell in the building and we get harassed by the buyers, the realtors, and the lawyers are calling us and telling us that we need to move on. When I tell them that we need to do it the legal way, they just shut off the phone on me, so this is a continued thing. So when I looked over these documents, I saw that the owner, Manuel Marquez, was cited for 21 violations on June 17th and then again on December 12th for some of the things I mentioned, which also includes broken mailboxes, broken windows, a broken skylight, and that's according to notices of violation from the city. So the fines were issued on January 10th, but the issues, at least some, are still ongoing. Marquez did return a text message seeking comment. A city spokeswoman did not return an email seeking an update. A real estate listing shows the building's up for sale for $2.2 million. And also, it's worth noting that minutes, and I'm talking less than 10 minutes before this story published, the landlord reached out to Ms. Rios and said, hey, we're going to try to get your stove in. So obviously, I don't think that was a coincidence. Going to keep our eye on the situation and see what's going on. Now, another one out of Jersey City that I think is worth mentioning is we saw on Monday morning that Public Employees Local 245, that's the largest municipal employee union, at least non-police and fire employee union in Jersey City, they had a picket. You saw a lot of them had signs, and you had a few dozen people, and you had 3 mayoral candidates come in. They're asking for a new contract. They haven't had one in 6 years. The 3 mayoral candidates were Bill O'Day, Hudson County Commissioner, and you had Wardy Councilman James Solomon, and of course former Gov. Jim McGreevey. You guys probably could have guessed that without me telling you. But the one that I think everyone's talking about is the union president, Santo Della Monica, made the point that there's 11 unions in Jersey City and none of them have endorsed Stephen Fulop for governor. So certainly that's a guy that is not afraid to come to the table and tell it how it is. Let's see what happens with this contract. So with that, folks, there's everything else. I guess I'll tell you that 1125 Jefferson Street is no longer subject to rent control at Hoboken. That didn't last long. If you guys recall, I reported that they took the city and the rent board to court in November, and that judge made that oral decision on March 28th, which he put in writing just yesterday. So this is an interesting turn of events, and it's another bad development for the rent board that was sued at least 4 times last year. And so we're going to call it a day with that, folks. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week.